everyone. My name is Curtis Miller. For those who don't know me, I'm the field director for Northern New Jersey Council, and welcome to our my.scouting.org technology workshop. I'm just going to go over a couple of housekeeping and also some introductions before we get started with the presentation. Regarding some housekeeping rules, you guys noticed when you came into the presentation, everyone was muted. We're going to keep everyone muted with the exception of whoever is going to be the presenters speaking. So please make sure that you keep your microphones muted. Also, if you look at the bottom corner of your screen, you see a chat button. During the presentation, if you have any comments or questions about the presentation, you can actually put your comments in the chat. And then the co-host is going to answer some of your questions you may have as the presentation is going along. Also, if everyone can do me a favor right now and inside the chat, just to test this out, if you could put your first and last name and your unit and where the town that you're from, so that way we can get sort of a sense of where everyone is from. So if everyone can do that right now as I'm speaking, that'll be appreciated. So I would like to do some introductions. We have a full participation today. Just as a reminder also too that this presentation is actually going to go live on YouTube, on YouTube right now. So if this presentation will be recorded. So for those who are not able to attend, they can we'll actually have this recorded and we're going to put that on our website for anyone that could go back to if they missed the presentation for the evening. So I just wanted to make sure we point that out. So I just want to do a couple of introductions. First off, I would like to introduce a very important person that's here tonight, Mr. Tom Shivas, who is our Vice President of Membership for Northern New Jersey Council. And I know Tom does not like accolades and to be shouted out, but this gentleman is responsible for leading a dynamic group of volunteers to help this council with 17 months of membership growth. So kudos to Tom, and thank you, Tom, for facilitating and being a part of the workshop for this evening, and thank you. Let's do a virtual round of applause for Mr. Tom Shivas. Also joining another VIP person, Mr. Walter Korlick. He is our Northern New Jersey Council Commissioner. Walter leads a dynamic group of volunteer Commissioner Corps that provides unique direct support and service to our local units within our council. So Walter, thank you for joining us. Once again, count the commissioner staff and the membership team are key of vital essentials to our council operation. So Walter, thank you for joining us also as well. I also like to introduce a couple of key volunteers on the membership teams for each district. First off, for our traditional district, Ramapo Valley, we have our district membership chair, Marissa Skitter, who's on, and she's going to be co-hosting and being a part of the presentation. With her team is also, I'm not sure if they're here, but Bob McDevitt and also District Chair Bruce Kuipers, who is instrumental to Ramapo Valley District membership team. So thank you for representing. Also on the Nappy Trail District, let me just shout to a couple of people out that's monumental to our membership committee. I'm not sure if you're on, but Mr. Rick Koiberg, Cyrus Ferguson, District Chair Mike Bateman, and also District Commissioner for LT, Lenape Trail District, Mr. Stephen Brown is also. So thank you once again, Lenape Trail, for representing and being part of the presentation for this evening. And also in our Three Rivers District, I would like to just shout out District Chair Sal Balomo, Juliana Carey, Jay Delgado, and that whole group down in Three Rivers District for being part of the Tom Chivas's little crew. They've been monumental in helping us really have an effective membership drive within our council. So thank you all for joining. We also have a special guest joining us from the national office all the way down from Texas, Miss Angela Sanchez, who is our membership growth coach for the National Council. So thank you, Angela, for joining us. Also, Angela is a personal friend of mine from New York City. Angela actually hired me way long time ago in New York City. It's really good to reconnect with Angela. So Angela, thank you for joining us and also supporting our council with our when it comes to our membership push. couple of announcements before we get started. Also, please, if you have not done so already, check out our council website. We have a new website, and we've gotten a lot of good reviews on our website. It's easier to navigate, some really cool information. So please, if you have not done so, check out our new council website. There's a lot of detailed information that's on there and a lot of updates to some of our council operations. Also, to our Scouting Exchange Idea Facebook page, we launched this about a couple of weeks ago, and it's been really good for platform for unit leaders to exchange ideas. And we've been seeing this this page grow, and really gave an opportunity for our volunteers within our council to exchange ideas with each other as we are moving forward into the virtual world. So if you have not been a part of that, please make sure you head over to Facebook, and we'll actually put the link in the chat so you can get that information if you're interested in joining. And also, as a second part to this presentation on May 21st, we're going to have another workshop that's going to be centered and focused around virtual recruiting for those units and unit leaders who are interested in learning a little bit more about how your unit could do recruitment in the virtual world. Well, we're setting up a great presentation for you on May 21st, which is going to be the second part to this presentation. So more information, more details will follow. So please look out for that information on our council website and also in your emails as we get closer to the date. So I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to introduce Tom Shivas, who is going to lead us in the presentation for this evening. So Tom.
Okay, everyone. I hope you can hear me all right. Thanks. Well, you know, I love this is really weird. We have really great attendance for these Zoom meetings, and I really can't thank everyone enough for attending this and for all the support we've had for putting this presentation together. I'm not going to rehash what Curtis said that our objectives are tonight, because that'll be clear as we go along. But what I would like to do, I'm going to share my screen and put up a flag for us all. So if we could all do your virtual standing and please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're in uniform, Scout salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks. Two. Okay, so without further ado, Curtis, can you go, I guess Patrick has the presentation to share again, so I stopped sharing the flag. There we go. So as Curtis said, what we're going to do tonight is kind of talk, briefly touch on a couple of two important websites that you may or may not be using. And pretty much I think everybody is very familiar with my.scouting.org, and we want to see how that ties in with BeAScout.org. BeAScout.org is on a lot of literature, it's on a lot of promos, it's the website for the public to say, how do I join scouting? And what we want to do tonight is kind of refresh everybody's expectations and ideas about how that should be set up to make sure your unit is visible there. It's just one tool in many that you have to promote your units online, but this is I think the bare minimum that you should be doing to say, hey, when I go search for scouting, I want to see my unit pop up and I want to have the ability to contact that unit, those unit leaders, and sign up my child for scouting. So next slide. So these are all tied together. The BeAScout information is all tied to a PIN, a personal identification system. And it also allows you to then go in and manage leads. There is a little bit of a bifurcation between legacy tools in my.scouting.org and some of the newer aspects. So there is still a little bit of cross information that you have to put in there. It's not exactly a single pane of glass, but at least you can have a single starting place and try to figure, and you can manage all of that stuff in there. Next slide. I don't want to bother reading any of this, but this is basically our agenda for tonight. So we want to kind of go through the process of setting things up, take a look at how you manage that stuff, how you respond to leads, and also take a look at some national resources. Next slide. So BeAScout.org, I hope that everyone has seen that webpage. If you haven't and you're online now, take a quick look at it and type in BeAScout.org, go to that site. And that's a landing page that National has set up that you can type a zip code in there or an address or some other geographic information to go find scouting units in your area. It's, again, printed on a lot of the promotional materials we use for membership and for recruiting. So it's very important that your unit has a presence on there. Every unit will have a presence. Every unit that has a valid charter will have a presence on there. But the problem is that some of the unit contact information is out of date, and we don't want to have people trying to make a contact with that unit to have things fall into a black hole. So we're trying to refresh everyone's experience with that website. Okay, next slide. So you can do, BeAScout.org has a couple of purposes. One is that people can go there and ask for more information. They type their information into a little dialog box. It sends it off to a contact that you'll have set up, and then you'll get a notification, an email, and you can start then communicating directly with that contact lead. Or we call it a oh gosh, left me. We'll get to that in a minute. But so, and then the other thing you can do that's really useful on BeAScout.org is online applications. A lot of people are using online applications, and I'll be quite honest with you. I'm involved with several small units. I've never bothered with online applications. And one of the ideas for this presentation came up about is that I know I have leads out there that want to join. I can't really easily get those online applications now, or get a paper application now. So I thought that maybe since I wanted to do this, maybe it was an idea that maybe a lot of other units want to figure out how to do online applications, how to make them work for you. And I think if you get that set up, I know a lot of units are doing almost exclusive online applications, and it may work for you in your unit going forward, even when we come out of this crisis. Next slide. So we'll go through this in a minute with maybe a live demo that I can do, but just to give us a brief overview of how this works, is that to set up your unit's contact information on what we call a PIN, what it is that you need to be in your unit registration a member of the unit key 3, which would be the unit leader, which would be the Cub Master, the Scout Master, the committee chair, or the charter organization representative. So those 3 positions can make updates to their contact information. In addition, there is another position called a Key 3 delegate. That's not a registered position, but it is a delegate. Yeah, okay. It is a delegate. It is a position that you can set up in the my.scouting.org system to designate another unit leader as having the same elevation of privileges in my.scouting as those Key 3 leaders. So for example, one, I think, very important person that you might want to have be assigned as a Key 3 delegate would be the new unit coordinator, the new member coordinator for the unit, or a committee membership chair or somebody like that, whatever you call it. New member coordinators are very important because they're the ones that really manage the leads and they welcome new families into the program. So we don't want to have everything fall on the unit leader or the committee chair or the charter organization. So this would be an area, one person that the key three could delegate as having those privileges to set that up. So if you don't see the ability to manage your unit's PIN, it's probably because you are not one of the members of the key three or key three delegate. So contact your committee chair or unit leader or COR to get that done. And they can set you up as a key three delegate. Okay, next slide. Okay, so it's pretty simple to do. When you log into my.scouting.org, everybody's familiar. You got a little menu item in your upper left-hand corner. Select that, go down, and you will see something called Legacy Web Tools. And this is one area that they haven't really migrated over to their new system yet. And select BeAScout. And under that, and in that web page that you find with BeAScout, that's where you can update your unit's information to appear on beascout.org. So you should see a drop-down menu selection for the units that you are allowed to register or you're allowed to manage. And then there's a couple of other items, and we'll go through this with a real quick live demo. You can select, make sure that your unit is selected in unit mode. And you want to set your PIN status to active, and you will want to, if you're going to accept online applications, set apply status to active as well. So this will present everything on beascout.org to allow people to find your unit, make a contact, and apply online. Next slide. And there's other information on there as well that you can add. So once you've had that, presented all that information, you can put your website address in there. If you don't have a website, you can use the council website, at least so there's something for somebody to click on when they see your BeAScout information. You can add, and then you also want, it's very important to add your contact information, your unit meeting address, and other information on that page to set up, so that'll appear on on beascout.org. Next slide. So the word I was looking for before was invitation. So the way my.scouting.org presents leads is something called invitations. So somebody makes a query into your unit and you will see an invitation manager, and you can go look at those leads and respond to those leads and hopefully invite them to join your unit. Okay. Next slide. So after you've set up your PIN information, your website, your contact information for your beascout.org, now the fun stuff starts happening. Everybody's going to say, hey, I found your unit. I want to join. And they're going to be typing in their contact information, their email address as a lead or an invitation. So the way you get that is go back to, again, my.scouting.org, go to the menu option, and then you have to select your unit. Many people are registered in multiple units, but just for the unit that you're interested in, select your unit. And you should see invitation manager or application manager underneath there. If you don't see those items, then you may not be a key three or a key three delegate. So if you want to manage your invitations and your leads and applications, this is where you go. And if you can't see that, talk to your key three and have them make you a delegate. Okay, so after you go to that screen for invitations and leads or applications, then you can start doing things. You can respond, you can approve applications, and so on. Next slide. Okay, so once you get to this application manager and or invitation manager, they both take you to the same place, and you can manage both applications and invitations from one screen. There's a lot of things you can do there. You can respond to invitations, you can accept applications, you can send an application to a lead, you can reassign leads or to the district. The district will, what you don't want to have happen is you don't want to have that stuff sit there for any period of time, because after a period of time, the district commissioner staff is going to start getting notified that, hey, there's stale leads or invitations or applications sitting out in these units sites. So just make sure you get that, pay attention to that. You should be getting an email when something happens to that site. So if somebody goes to BeAScout or BeAScout.org, requests some information from you, it should show up as an invitation, and you should get an email for that. Test that. I don't want to put Angela on the spot here, but I think that that's one of the questions that have come up from time and time again. How quickly, and we don't need an answer for this now, but how quickly should you receive an email after somebody puts the information, requests information in there? So what you should do is that just make sure, because you could put a wrong email address or wrong, who knows what you're going to do. So make sure that after you set this all up, have somebody go in, request some information from you, make sure you receive that email invitation, and then you can go check it out and respond to it. Okay.
So Tom, I just went in and I'm testing it on my end on BeAScout and in my scouting. So I've set up a lead and I've sent it in. So I'm waiting to see what our crew advisor does and see if how quickly he gets it. But
okay.
Somebody else in the chat box had said, how long does it take to update on BeAScout when you change information? You always have to let the system at least update overnight. My.scouting will update sometime in the middle of the night. So remember, all updates should show the next day.
Yeah, and I could confirm that because I just recently changed my unit from accept to accept applications, and it wasn't there immediately. It was an overnight situation. So changes are not going to take effect. If you do it in the afternoon, it'll be there in the morning, I think, right?
I believe it will be.
Yeah. So I think they do. I think they probably roll those changes up sometime in the wee hours of the morning. So.
And so if somebody goes in there, it should at least to get leads, it should take at least, I would say instantaneously, but let's see what happens. But it's at least 24 hours, at least give the system a chance to update.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we started this. We're doing this presentation tonight because we know that people have struggled with this in the past and then sort of have abandoned it. And so what happens is that like anybody's that does anything online, their first experience is also maybe their last experience with it. And so we want to say, hey, we recognize that this is one area that may need some work, and we're trying to work through those issues. But we want to hear about that. We're going to have contact information at the end to say, hey, if this doesn't work for you, let us know. We'll drive that through. Okay, we don't want to let anything fall through the cracks, particularly in this time, because somebody could just say, hey, I'm looking for something, something else. Sports programs are closed down, scouting is still open, and there's a lot of units that are still virtually meeting, and they're doing really, really cool things out there. And I know that, my own unit, we were not meeting for a while, for a couple of weeks. And then we asked, the kids asked me, hey, let's start this up again. So they were really good about it. Okay.
Tom, can I jump in? I just want to follow. We have some questions.
Sure. If you have any answers for questions, please do so.
Okay. So I think you had just gone over that if you're looking up your unit now and don't see yourselves on BeAScout, you have to work through myscouting.org.
If the first thing to do is that if you do not see your unit show up on BeAScout.org and you typed in your zip code and you see other units in your area, but you don't see your unit, what you might want to first do is make sure your charter is valid. Because I saw units that were there April 30th, and they went away come beginning of May. I was like, where did they go? And I say, oh, I thought something happened in their charter dropped. So yeah, if you don't see your unit listed on BeAScout.org, make sure that your charter is valid. So talk to your commissioners, talk to your executive staff. Particularly at this time, I suspect any units that are dropped, you are not going to be able to get in at all. So I don't know, but that's the first thing I would look at.
And I think we may have another charter question for key three who are new to their positions and not seeing themselves on my.scouting.org. Could that be because of a charter issue as well?
That could everything could be. Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing I would look at is try to find your most recent valid charter and check those positions on there. A lot of times, even as charters come in, positions are sort of expected, but not necessarily done correctly. And no one is gonna, if the charter comes in and says this person is a committee member, not the committee chair, but there's another committee chair on there and they got all the requirements for a committee chair, that's the way the charter is going to be processed. So it's always a good idea to review your charter, and mistakes can be made. So review your charter once you see it's posted and see if it's correct or not. And again, the solution to that is to contact your commissioner or your field professionals.
We have some more questions, but we'll let you continue.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So next slide. Here we are. And yeah, so these are really great resources. Curtis talked a little bit about, membership and our sustained growth that we've had for a number of months. And it's across the board. It couldn't be done just with the volunteers. It couldn't be done at the district level. It's a combination of everything. It's at the unit level, it's at the district level, it's at the council level, but most of all, and I can't thank the professional staff enough. So these are your professionals for your field professionals for your district. And I just want to give those guys a shout out. And again, we have Rosa, who is the DFS, and Curtis, field director, that's getting all this together. And I also don't want to leave out Jessica and Lumi, who are doing exploring and Metro Life and with STEM Scouts and everything else. Those are really two big areas of growth that we're seeing. So they're doing a tremendous job out there. So again, I'll do it now. I want to thank the professional staff, okay, because they do a really terrific job. I know that everyone is doing their jobs differently now, and in many cases working harder than they've ever worked before. And these guys, I know, are working. We had conference calls on weekends, and it's really quite a team. So thanks to our professional staff.
Tom. Yes. I just wanted to add on the for everyone, just to know that obviously this is a collective effort, and really thinking a little bit outside the box to ensure that your experiences are the easy, the most easy and easy to navigate. And the Northern New Jersey Council really has put the professional team information there to ensure that when you do encounter a challenge, given that now obviously BeAScout.org is used nationally more so than ever, that your first point of reach out to should be your district executive, and we will work with you. We make a commitment to work with you and troubleshoot with you from beginning to end to ensure that you get the right lead, the right answer, and not let you hanging. Not that you will be left hanging any otherwise, but at least you feel that somebody else is there with you. So this is very difficult times, and we want to make sure that we are available to you and that you know that the green light is there for us to work, follow that journey with you to ensure that families in your community can find you and join this incredible program that is Scouting. So just to make sure that you know why we put the names there, feel free, we can wait to assist you if you do have questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And we went back and forth. I had a different idea about what your first line of contact should be. Rosa was very clear that she wanted to make sure that the district executives, the professional staff, is aware of any problem that you're having. So I really thank her for that resource. And she said, no, we want to know what's going on. We want to know every problem that anybody is having, because if somebody's having a problem, somebody else might be having a problem. So feel free to, call Texas if you want to navigate the website. But if you do that, if you're having a problem, keep your district executive or your district director in the loop, because it's very important, because they need to know the problems that you're having. Okay, next slide. Okay, these are just some resources. There are a lot of training videos on everything, and you're welcome to view all those things. Almost every website that National has now through the national system says, here, watch the YouTube video on how to use this website, which I think is really pretty good. So there are a lot of training stuff out there. What we wanted to do tonight is just to encourage you to use that system. We are going to be scanning through the BeAScout system and the online application system, and doing a little surveys about how to, what units are using them, what units are up to date. If you don't have your own unit contact information, it goes to the district or the council. So we want to make sure that that's done there. Speaking of polling, I'm going to pop up a little bit of a quick poll here. And this is just kind of an experience on how you're using any of these systems now. It's a quick system, so please take some time to fill that out. And Steve, I've been looking through the questions here. Is there any questions that you'd like to read for us?
Sure. So while they're doing that, we had some filling out their polls. Some questions on approvals. Who approves youth and who approves adults?
The approval process is not different than the online process. So the youth approval process can be approved by the unit leader. I've done that with an application here or there that I've gotten in. The COR still needs to approve adult applications. So we are going to talk to Marissa in a little bit. She can maybe answer some more questions about the online application process. So Marissa, write that one down. That's something that we can all benefit from.
Great. And actually following up on that, are paper applications still required for adults?
That I do not know the answer for. And because I have not processed an online adult application. I want to do that because I do have adults that are interested in joining and process that. So that's a very good question, and we'll save that question and get the answer back for us. Some people may insist on that, or at least making a phone call with their social security number. There's probably a lot of information on that online application to do that people may not want to type in online anyway. So.
Great. So we'll get back some more of the application then in a little bit. How's your poll results?
We are 34 of 58, 58% voted. Okay. So, wow. This is terrific. Of those responding, 80% are meeting virtually. I think that's becoming really, really good. So that's nice. 27% accept online applications. So this is important, that how often do you check your leads, multiple choice. So wait for email is clearly the operative word there. And I'm not going to put Angela on the spot, but Angela did say leads are instant. I tested the conference and a lead popped up into the invitation manager. But Angela, did you get an email, or did anybody get an email for that yet that you know of?
So I'm the committee chair for the crew. So I haven't received an email yet, but the lead is showing up in my .scouting.
Yeah, the leads I've always seen appear quite quickly in the invitation manager. But one of the things that we're taking that action item on, at least, myself and some other people are trying to figure out what's the situation with the emails, because what's the expectation there? Should that email come out in an hour, 24 hours, a week? How often do they come out? And maybe that information is in some of the training materials. I haven't studied it clearly, but I can tell you that some people report that they are not getting emails, or they're going to wrong addresses and so on. So we're taking a real hard look at that
right now and try to get that answer.
Okay.
While we're on the call.
Okay. And adult applications do need use. You can approve the adult. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but you can approve the adult application. You can send it through to council to the registrar, but it's not going to be posted until youth protection certificate is supplied.
And need the release as well.
Yes.
For background checks.
Yeah.
For adults. How about adults who are not promoted on a charter? So the adults moving from same charter organization, perhaps from a pack to a troop or a pack to a crew. I only know how they're handled through the charter. I don't know how they're handled online. I
believe I know people have done it online, particularly moved youth through a pack to a troop online. But I don't know how that process works. So that's a good question. We're going to save all these questions, and these are really good touch points that we can get some more information back. As adult applications, that's another question. So changing positions or so on. You're supposed to have a new application for that, and it's got to be approved by the COR. So I don't know how that would work online.
Okay, so we have most of our questions covered, and we'll let you move on.
Okay, so I want to, if it's okay, let me just walk through my unit's BeAScout PIN management situation, just to give everybody a little bit of a taste for that if they haven't had it. I just want to look at this. Poll there. Okay, so I'm going to share my website. I probably just got logged. I bet I got logged out. I had this ready to go. Okay, let me share my screen just for a moment, and then I want to give. Okay, can everybody see the usual my.scouting.org? Give me some sort of sign there. Thumbs up or something, I don't know. So for
Yes,
pin management, am I good?
Yes.
Okay, so for pin management, you go to the usual menu button here and select Legacy Web Tools. And the way to see it here is BeAScout. Okay, so this is the pack that I'm associated with, Pack 2, Bloomfield Presbyterian Church on the Green. What you should see here, and this is a question that has come up, and I'll put Angela on the spot again. I'm also part of the Key 3 or a Key 3 delegate for other units, but I only see this unit. But that's a question that we've been working on trying to get answered. And these are the types of issues that we want people to tell us about so we can get them resolved if there's a workaround or so on. So your unit pin mode, set that to unit, because if it's set to council, it's going to go to the council, and that you won't get anything on that. Set your unit pin status to active, your application status to active if you're accepting online applications. There's a dedicated box for your website and your primary contact person. So these are all registered leaders in the unit. So they are on our charter. They are registered unit leaders. So that's all you can select there to be registered leader. But you can put in any email address you want. So we have a general Dropbox here for info@bloomfieldpack2.org. The meeting place and so on, that got the latitude and longitude got popped in automatically. And these are the fields that are displayed on the BeAScout.org website. Okay. And then so if I go to Scout Me In.
Just on that, Tom, one of the neat features, I don't know if you can go back or not.
Sure.
But you get to put a description of your unit.
Yeah, it's a free form field there. Yeah.
And you know, we see many units online talking about what they do, or they're active outdoors. And we see it a little more with the venture crews and ships, kind of describing what they're doing, perhaps what makes them different from other units, their strengths and things like that. So you have 150 characters to sell yourself.
Yeah. So that's that. Yeah, take advantage of that. Unlike me. Thanks, Steve, for pointing that out.
It's all about scouting. It's successful failure.
Yeah. And again, I'm as guilty as the next person, because I probably have not been paying attention to this as much as I should be. And I need to do that now because I can't do the recruiting like I used to do it. So I'm entering my zip code for Bloomfield 07003. And here we go. Pack 2 pops up right away. This is in a different management screen, sadly, but this is a different management screen for you to set whether you select dens for boys and girls. But if you saw that I did select that online unit, online registration as possible. If I go to request more information, I can fill out this form and send it in. Okay, big privacy policy, and I can do all this stuff. Okay, and submit it. Okay, but back to my.scouting. If I go down here to pick up my where these things got dropped in, I go to Pack 2, Invitation Manager. You can see that I have a couple of leads here. Okay, one I did myself earlier, and you can use this screen to select the lead. You can send an application, and if I go to invitation here, you should, there we go. This is what I was looking for. You can respond, assign it, close it, complete it, send an application, and so on. Okay, so that's how you can do it. Okay, Marissa, do you want to have a couple of things you want to show for online applications real quick?
Yeah, definitely, Tom.
Okay, it's all yours.
All right, hold on one second, guys, while I get my screen up and running. So hi again to everyone. I'm Marissa. I'm the membership chair for Ramapo Valley District. Just trying to find my webpage here. Hold on, there it is. Okay, so my unit 192 in Wayne, we have been using the online applications for a very long time now. As soon as it first launched, we started using it actually. It just made it a lot easier for us. This past year alone, we got more than 30 new scouts that joined our unit. So we really utilized the online information and site and everything. I think we probably have like a 50-50 hold on one second. Whoops, there we go. A 50-50 breakup of online applications versus regular in-person applications. So if you go on to BeAScout.org, you'll see I've already put in our zip code for my town in Wayne. You can click if you want it to be a Cub Scout, a Scouts BSA, Venturing, or Sea Scouts group. So in our interest, I'm just going to do Cub Scouts. You would direct them to do that, find and apply. And on there, just like Tom mentioned, you're going to have information pop up about each and every unit. As you see, my PAC 192 is right there on the top. I'm the new member coordinator for my unit. So my name would pop up here. We have the key 3, and then I am the key 3 delegate as the membership chair. So that way I get to have all of the leads and everything. We found that for our unit, that works great because since our chartered organization is a Catholic church, we do have extra steps that we have to take in addition to youth protection. We do have other training that is mandated by the Catholic Church for any adult to take. So me being on there as the lead, I have an easier job then of getting in touch with the church and making sure that we coordinate for protecting God's children with any of our new members. So that just makes it a lot easier for us. So I know Tom showed you the request more information. I'm going to show you the apply now. So this way, if you have a new parent who's coming in and they're like, I'm stuck on this screen, what do I do? This way you can kind of have a little bit of an idea of what is going on. So you would say, are you registering yourself or an adult? Now in my unit, we do have it that adults can submit an application online. Only my chartered org rep can take the next steps to then reach out to that particular adult. We do not process any online, obviously, to get the paperwork started to have them approved and things like that. Chances are it's another adult leader that was already in the unit that reached out to that parent to step up as a leader. So we've already given our chartered org rep an idea that, hey, somebody's going to be coming in. So it asks basic information. Are they a current or a former scout? For this case, I'm going to click no, since we're looking at new people. You would type in all of their information, their name, their address, their date of birth, and things like that. So I'm going to just make up a quick name. It had saved before, but of course it decided to leave. So it's just basic, straightforward information, nothing crazy. Don't worry, I'm not putting in actual information right now. Nope, I put in something else. Just making up numbers as I go along here. Let's make it that. And their male. It does ask for ethnic background, things like that. That's perfectly fine. Grade, things like that. You don't have to put in their school. I find for my unit, it's great to have it in a school, because then that way, if we don't have a lot of scouts coming from that particular school, we kind of reach out to that parent and say, hey, why don't you have little Johnny invite some more of their friends to our meeting? You know, we're going to have a great time. So bring them on board. So that's a good way to get them to know each other. So it's nice. I have no idea what place I just picked. Oh, I picked Georgia. Woohoo! So you would go on there, parent guardian information and everything like that. Okay, good. That already, there we go. Yes. Like I said, it's just a lot of basic information and things like that, that part. Good. The most important thing that I find a lot of people have an issue with, and it's going to take me a lot of typing to get to it, so I'm going to skip it, is payment confirmation and checkout summary number 4 and 5 up here. So in my unit and any unit, we cannot really accept payments online because what they're only going to charge is for the national fee that is due. They will not charge any other fees in addition to that your unit then charges to cover things. So what we do is that as soon as I, as a new member coordinator, get the information on the lead and things like that, I also reach out to my treasurer with the information of the new recruit that we're getting in. So I take down their email address and the parents' contact information. I send that off to my treasurer, and she will then send them either a Zelle, Venmo, or PayPal invoice asking for our dues and giving a breakdown summary of why we charge what we charge for our unit. In the payment confirmation screen, parents will think that they paid, but they haven't paid since they haven't entered information, and you just take it from there. And it's a very easy, straightforward thing. We process applications very quickly this way. So it's great. I love it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thanks, Marissa.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and you know, we're not going to be able to cover every problem that everybody's having and things like that. But what I would say is that we want to try to get this dialogue started. Make sure that you have some resources that you can reach out to your district membership chairs, your professionals, because I think we're all learning new ways of doing things, and this is a good opportunity to necessity is the mother of invention. So I know for my sake, I want to use this more and more because I think that'll only help me in the future. And it'll be able to keep track of that better. A couple of more questions popped up.
I'm happy to jump in.
Yeah.
How should people, what would be best practices for notifying people that you are not accepting the online payment and that you're charging different dues? How do you do that, Marissa, with your unit? I know your treasurer bills, but how do they know not to make the payment?
Well, one, it won't allow them on the screen to even make a payment. There is no area on there. It just says cash check on one side, and you can't click on it to make a payment via cash or check. So when I get the lead information from them, that's when I send them an email. I have a formatted email that I automatically send out with every single dues breakdown. We have it written out perfectly and clearly. What we also do is on our PAC link that is on our BeAScout.org site. If you clicked on PAC 192, it will say on there, or at least it should. We're in the process of tweaking our site a little bit for our new dues. It will say in there what our dues are. So I think it's really important to communicate heavily with your treasurer when getting a new recruit in. That way you have a form already done and set out for everyone to get immediately.
Great. Do you send out other notification once you've accepted people?
Yeah, we send out another notification. Our website is password secured, so only members who have, registered and paid are allowed on our site for youth protection reasons. We do post a lot of pictures of the faces of scouts. Otherwise, it's more of like the back of scouts from their back. So in that information email, we will send out the parent and scout code of conduct that we ask every single new family to sign. We have them fill out a photography waiver. That way, if we do post pictures on social media or in our local town newspaper, we have their okay. And also a breakdown of, hey, come be a leader. This uniform is great. Have a good time with us, things like that. So that email goes out to every single person, as well as a PDF of my PAC's parent handbook. It's about 5 pages. It explains all about scouting, all about our unit, and things like that.
Thank you. One of our attentive readers pointed out a good thing to add, and Norman put out for us, good thing to make sure we have on the website is the unit's meeting date and time. Although we may think people are attracted to us because we are the most wonderful Scouts BSA troop or crew in the world, there are other people who are kind of majoring in Tuesday nights or yeah, and have to look around for something like that. So we do understand the importance of that. There are some questions on Key 3 delegates not being able to see. Some people also questioning, it sounds like maybe charter issues about who indeed are the Key 3 because they're not showing up. So yeah, the advice before to contact your professional, contact your district executive or district director would hold there as well. They can look you up in My Scouting in the actual database behind that and get the correct information to you. Thank you, Mr. Quinn, for pointing out that perhaps we've lost some of the links to our prior presentation. Thank you for joining our prior presentations. And thank you for pointing out the issue with the links. We will have to take a look at that because a lot of time and effort went into this presentation and prior presentations, and we want people to see it. So we will certainly take care of that.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
There was another question about, and that's also from Mr. Quinn, about if somebody joined the unit, they have a pending reassignment in there and showing up in there. And you can close the lead. You should be able to go in to the invitation manager and just close it.
Right. So if the person didn't complete 100% online, or I think it doesn't make the payment, the lead may stay open until you close it.
Pending, yeah. So there's a button for close lead there, and that'll just close it. Typically, again, this is a usage. This is how you use it is up to you. But I typically don't use the responder. I get the lead and I craft my own because I'd rather have my own personal email messages, and then after I've communicated enough, and I still have this pending lead in the system, I just end up closing it with a comment that I've contacted the lead and so on. But yeah, you can always just force close the lead. We are, yeah, I think.
So two questions. Yeah, the lead should have timed out. I'm not sure why it hasn't, because we get some of those notifications as well. Craig's asking, do online applications get sent to council? I'm not sure quite what you mean. So Craig, I'm going to unmute you. Go for it.
So, when we get the applications, we have to bring it up to council for them to get processed into the system. So that if they fill it online for our unit, does it get sent to council, or are we still making a paper copy and keeping all that information?
Okay, so that's for youth or adults. Yeah, if an electronic youth application is that as good as a youth application, and for adult, if you're collecting and getting wet signatures, do you still have to do that? Is that a good translation?
Yes.
Okay. Tom?
So yes, well, youth applications, I know for a fact, can be processed completely electronically. Marissa, nod your head if that's the case. Yes, I see your head nodding. Yes, so they can process strictly application. I have not processed an adult application. That's got to be more tricky now because you do need wet signatures on background check authorization forms, but that could also be sent in separately. So that's a very good question. I think. Basically, as much can be processed electronically as can be, but there's going to have to be some follow-up, I think, at least with an adult application for the background check wet signature.
So if I may there, Tom, so yeah. I do know from experience that Mike Sadowski, who, for instance, is in charge of my area, he has come to me with leads that are pending in the system that my husband as master hasn't seen yet. And we have done payments then and there. One thing I know I have found that I need to do is the minute that lead comes up, I take a screenshot of it and I print it, or I add in their information to the Excel sheet, because once the application is accepted online, until it is loaded into the system, I don't have any access to that information until it's in the system. So take a screenshot or enter it into an Excel sheet or write it down on a notepad, whatever works best for you to do that. Otherwise, your information is gone until it suddenly shows up on your Scout book or things like that. So that is really important to make sure you do that. As far as adult applications, yes, your CR can, approve it or not, but you're going to need those wet signatures like was stated.
Yeah. So we are just at the 1 hour mark. And I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. This was a great meeting. I hope you got something out of it. There's a lot of good questions. We're going to save the chat screen and take these questions and follow up, hopefully with people directly on them, and put out some more information throughout, some membership information through the council, through the districts, and finally down to the units. Again, thanks everyone for coming tonight. And we do have a virtual training workshop scheduled for May 21st. There'll be more information coming out about that. We don't know what that's going to look like yet, to be quite honestly. Usually our recruiting days are face-to-face and they're in person, and the kids run around, have a great time, and you have things to do for them and stuff like that. How that's going to work in a virtual environment, we're going to be taking a deep, hard look at that, trying to come up with some best practices. If you have any information on that, please communicate that up through your districts. Let everybody know about it. District meetings are happening this month and roundtables, so now's a good time to do that. Okay.
Just, Tom, while you're doing commercials, I'll do one more. The training, the Advancement Committee and Commissioner staff will be holding another virtual roundtable. Date has not been set yet, but hopefully in the next 2 weeks, on advancement in light of COVID-19. There's great guidelines. If you search BSA and COVID-19, generally the second hit you'll get will be FAQs. But we're going to hold a session probably from 7 to 8 for Cubs in advancement and 8 to 9 for Scouts BSA in advancement. Lots of issues on merit badges, boards of review, things like that. So stay tuned to your email. Hopefully that's coming in the next 2 weeks or so. Email coming the next week.
Okay. Thanks, Curtis. Thanks, Rosa. Thanks very much, Steve, for acting as our MC for questions. You do that very well. I've been on several things, so I really appreciate your help for that, Steve. So, and again, thanks for everyone for participating, and Marissa, and for working with the online applications, and especially Angela. So take some comments back to your team, and now that I know who you are, I might be reaching out to you.
No problem, anytime. Good job, guys. This was a great training, and I definitely am going to have other councils do trainings very similar. It's really useful. So really
Okay.
Good job, guys. I will also respond to Rosa with a couple of the questions I wasn't able to get answered, and the team can send out the responses for you guys.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Tom,
Okay,
just really quickly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom, for your leadership on this particular training. Looking at the chat, there's some happy folks who thinks that this information is really, really vital. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we provide resources to all of our unit leaders and be helpful as we can. Don't forget also to everyone that on May 21st, we're going to send out some information, hopefully by the end of this week, for you to RSVP and stay tuned for virtual recruiting. And once again, thank you, Angela Sanchez, for joining us from the national office. And we appreciate the national office support as well. And please, everyone, be safe and make sure that, you're taking the proper precautions as we're in these times of uncertainty. I hope and wish everyone be well. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you everyone for tonight. I just wanted to ask Tom, the Quan